Okay, so in this video I'm going to give you a little bit more direction on what needs to happen with the Unit 8 exercise, the HTML5 Canvas. The directions in the assignment are very introductory. They have a couple of code files that you can try out. However, the directions are not necessarily too specific. Those will be corrected. However, in the meantime, let me tell you how you can complete the assignment. Basically, these are just short directions that tell you how you can create a canvas in an HTML page. Very simple. Basically, you're going to be using the canvas tag, open up canvas, give it an ID. In this case, for these files, it's the canvas and the canvas tool. And then there's a series of directions. Mostly, you have to declare a variable, C, or something like it, and then give it a context to actually start to draw. So these things at the beginning for the beginner in JavaScript are very foreign, and they might be foreign even after, because I'm thinking you have to really dig into what the code is doing and saying to understand that. Not that you can't understand it, just know that if you follow these steps, you can start to draw using the canvas. So what I'm going to do is I've already created a canvas.html. It's a blank file. And I'm going to be copying some things from the samples in the assignment. Not the first HTML, but rather the second one, since it's already more complete, I guess. And you can add some CSS if you want. So here's JavaScript code, the second sample, canvas sample full.html. You can go to the GitHub page and get it, or you should be able to just copy it straight from here. I'm going to highlight all of this text from opening tag to closing tag, copying it, going to my text editor and pasting it. And it's already saved as canvas.html. I'm going to press Command S. I'm on a Mac, so it's the same as Control S, or however you save using your text editor. I'm then going to go into a new tab and open, press Control O, Command O, and find my canvas.html. This is the sample code from the assignment, how to draw a red box, how to do this fake power meter. There's nothing interactive about this graphic, it's just an arc and then a straight line. If I go back here, you'll see that there's also some links drawn on the canvas I will be using for the rest of this video to guide you through this. The canvas sample, I'm going to look at the code. I right click, view page source, and I see that I have the basic HTML foundation. I have the head information. I have a header. I have an opening section to put in this code, and there's a footer somewhere, and then the script starts afterwards. Everything, all the action happens within the canvas, which is just declared. In this case, there's two canvases. One is ID'd as the canvas, the other one is the canvas 2. I'm only going to be working with one canvas, and then the script will take care of the rest. The assignment calls for a 300 by 300 area. This is not that, but we'll change it in a few minutes. I'll close that and close the sample as well. I'm going to go back to my editor and then just start to rearrange this text so that it works as a blank file. I'm not going to change the main divisions, but I will change at least at the beginning of the section, since here's the first canvas. Like I said, I'm only working with one. I'm going to change that from the first canvas tag to just my canvas tag. The ID in the sample is the canvas. I'm going to be using a lot of code from W3 schools, and they prefer camel case my canvas. So lowercase my, capital C, and then the rest of the word canvas. I'm not going to be using a second tag, so I can get rid of the second canvas, including the ID that follows. So the section now only has a header 4. Here's my canvas tag, and then the actual canvas where everything will happen. Well, actually everything's happening in the script. It's just going to be displayed within this canvas. So talking of the script, I'm going to delete most of it. I'm declaring that variable C. Variable C, just like an iteration, a loop, is usually sampled as an I. When you're dealing with Canvas, you're going to be seeing this variable C a lot. It's just very popular. I'm going to delete most of this code. This is what's actually drawing the other graphics, including the red rectangle. And I just select it and delete it, and I'm just left with the declaration. I'm going to press Command S to save, go back to my browser, and open up that canvas again. I should not have closed it, but I did. So here's Canvas, and here's my Canvas tag in a blank space. I'll go back to the assignment, and these are then the resources that I'll be using. The W3 school reference, and give me just 30 seconds, I'm going to change something. Okay, that was just going to bug me for the rest of the video. Now W3 School's reference is actually the same size as the other text. So I'm going to click on the HTML5 Canvas. It's W3 School's introduction to this subject. They tell you, what you can do. You can do simple stuff inside an HTML canvas. You can draw graphics. They tell you you can have simple rectangles that are colorful and that are that have all these kinds of little effects on them with color. You can have a gradient fill as opposed to a solid fill. You can do stuff with text. There's many things that you can do with just drawing. This is how you would draw your UI, your XI, lots of different things. A little sample explanation. What is the HTML canvas? It's used to draw graphics on the fly. It's supported by most browsers, if not all. Notice how Internet Explorer is not listed here. So Canvas examples, right away, they're doing something different as opposed to what I have on mine. They're telling me declare the canvas, which I already did. But as I said, this exercise, you need to have a 300 by 300 square. Right now, the canvas is being opened in my text. However, it's just open and ID'd. It does not have this limitation. So I'm just going to copy the whole thing since it's the same ID. And maybe I should do the second one. I'm going to go down to the example because this one has the height and width, plus it's also adding a little bit of styling to it. I'm going to click on Try It Yourself so that I can also follow along. It's got its own little editor here in W3 Schools. I'm going to copy the canvas ID all the way to where the canvas closes, and I'm going to right click and copy this. This is only drawing the canvas that's 200 wide, and it's 200 pixels. If you were to count all the pixels between the left line all the way to the right, it's 200. From the top to the bottom, it's 100. And it's going to be X and Y. So X-axis goes across from left to right, starts at 0, goes all the way across to infinity, basically, unless it's responsive. That's a different story. This little square, it's only 200, so if I were to go with 150 by 50, it would be somewhere in the middle. I think I already copied that. I'm going to copy again just in case. I'm going to go back to my canvas, and then in the script, or rather, not in the script, but the canvas, which is what I just copied, I'm going to replace my own canvas, which has the ID of my canvas. Like I said, that's what W3 School uses, so I'm just going to paste that again. So it's got an ID of my canvas, a width, however, I want this to be 300. The height, I want it to be 300. The border style can stay the same. It's black. That's this, all those zeros. The error message, your browser does not support the HTML5 Canvas tag, stays there. And let me load it and see what's going on. I have a 300 by 300 frame, and everything else is blank, and that's fine. I'll go back to my exercise, and then, like I said, get and save in a variable canvas object. We've already done that, basically. We have a canvas object. It's being declared under canvas. There's now a variable C that is going to create the context for the canvas object. So that is done here in these two lines. That's where you get the context. Everything after this is where our coding will happen. So I'm going to press enter a couple of times, and I'm still within the script for this file. I'm going to be drawing a happy face rather than just squares and lines and things like that. You can draw whatever you want. So even if you do this inspiration and you do the squares and stuff like that, that'd be great. And I'm not going to stop you from doing this or something better. whatever floats your boat, as they say, and then when I'm done, I'll be able to have a file that I can upload to my GitHub page. So now that I have the basic stuff, let's go through parts that are missing from the lesson. Basically, the introduction to the HTML canvas is what I already did. It's giving us some samples on how to draw a line. Now that I have this canvas declared, this one's 200 by 100 minus 300 by 300, I can draw a line. And if you think about how maybe an Etch-a-Sketch works, think about the screen being kind of like the Etch-a-Sketch, in that at the very beginning, if you could plot out that at 0 by 0, you could tell the Etch-a-Sketch to just start drawing from here to the edge, which would be all the way to 200 by 100. Then you could just draw a straight line. Simple as that. We're going to be drawing a circle if we're doing a happy face. I'm doing the classic happy face with the yellow and the smile and all that. And I've already have the variable declared, so I'm going to copy the rest of the code. So what's going on here in the context, we're telling it to begin the path. That is, if you were in that Etch-a-Sketch, once again, you tell the pencil, okay, start drawing, start here. And think about it that way, as in an Etch-a-Sketch, or a pencil or a pen or anything that draws in ink. It's basically starting to release that ink and drawing, and it's going to be a straight line, and it will not lift until you tell it to stop. So here we tell it to begin the path. We're giving it the arc method, which is what's going to be drawing the circle. There's a further explanation on how the arc works in some of these pages. When I get to it, I'll point it out. But I'll just get the basic things here by copying. I'm going to go back to my code, and I'm going to paste what I just copied, and I'm going to tab this out so that you can follow along a little bit better. So now we have code that says, okay, begin path. This is where you're going to start to draw, and it's telling it, because it's drawing a smaller circle inside a smaller rectangle. Ours is 300 by 300, and by definition, if I go back over here and look at the HTML5 Canvas, which I should already have open up here, but I'll open it again. And I need to give you a link. There will be a link ready by the time you're watching this video. Basically, there is an HTML5 Canvas reference. And let me look at the references up here. Like I said, I'll have a link for you, so you don't have to look for it here. It's HTML Canvas reference. If I go, it's got descriptions of a lot of these commands and methods. The ones that I'm looking at right now are going to be the paths. Basically, here's the arc and arc2. I just want to do the arc. That's what's going to be drawing our circle. It's already drawing our circle. This one gives you a little bit more explanation of what's going on, though. Definition and usage. The arc method creates an arc that is a curve. It has all of these numbers that you need to give it, and we have it very simple here. Right now, since I copied the sample, but I'm working in a 300 by 300 space, and I want it to start right at the middle, the point of origin is going to be half of those two numbers, so it's 150, comma 150. As the definition says, it starts out the X and Y. It's going to be the first two. That's the center of the circle. In this case, it's 175. I will be 150 by 150. That's followed by the radius. That is the distance between the center of the circle and the edge of the circle. And then the next one is going to be the angle, followed by how it's going to be set, and that's this mathematical equation, which is just basically, it's going to be 0 to end the angle at 0 point, and then do it twice. It's going to do an arc once and then twice. If you only give it 1 pi, because we're using the method here, math pi, if you were to just do it once, it would go from 0 all the way across. That's what's going to give us a happy face later. And then since you're doing it twice, it's going to go all the way around and complete that circle. That code is already in my code that I'm doing here. My circle is still kind of small. I have a larger area to play with than a 40 pixel diameter circle. So I'm going to go not necessarily all the way to 150. I'll try 100 and see what that's going to look like. And I'll keep everything else the same. This is drawing a circle. I'm going to save that, go back to my canvas and reload, and nothing happens because although I'm giving it a lot of code, I'm sure that I'm missing a detail. And sure enough, I'm using my canvas as the ID. So this is the ID that's used by W3 Schools, and the original code it was dcanvas, so I need to change this from dcanvas to my canvas. And one other thing that needs to be changed as well is this variable on my line 30. CTX1 is what's used in the sample from the assignment, but we don't use CTX1 anywhere else. We're using CTX throughout. So I'm going to change that and save. I'll go back to my canvas in my browser. I'll reload, and finally there's my first circle. Now, in the resources that are to be added later here that you can go and follow, you're going to see lots of other things. And like I said, there's plenty of lessons out there. I'll try to compile a longer list for you to follow. But we're still drawing the happy face, and I'm going to take a pause here after drawing the first circle just to make sure that if you're following along at home, maybe this would be a good time to add the CSS or to just stop and see what's going on with your code if you've got it this far. What happened for you to create the canvas, how you went about adding the script at the bottom with very simple JavaScript that then creates the space and draws a circle by drawing an arc, where it starts at 150 by 150 x and y, 100 being the radius of the circle, and then the mathematical the short math stuff that follows. It's the 0, 2 times pi, basically then draws a circle. CTX stroke, it gives it the context of actually drawing the line. A stroke is just that, it's just a 1 pixel line. We'll be able to change the width. I'll be adding color and drawing a couple more shapes to complete this shape, but so that we don't go over 20 minutes on this one video, I'm going to stop here and come back to complete the assignment.